Hi guys, Davita here. I'm so excited to be here with you guys today. It's part 4 of Manifest Love series. I hope you guys are starting to see changes in your relationships and more awareness and starting to know that you can manifest the love you want. This is called persona work. Now, my partner and I created this as a way to understand the different parts of our personality that are subconscious but drive our lives. So I'm sure you all get a feeling like about this. Now we each have different roles we play, different ways we project ourselves in relationship, at work, with our children, with our parents, in our different ways of being. We also have different archetypes that we show our different personalities in. Sometimes we might be the victim, sometimes we might be the hero, sometimes we might be the innocent one, sometimes we might be the rebel. So there's different archetypal energies. And if you want to look up the 12 major archetypes that were actually shared by Carl Jung, the famous Swiss psychologist, then I'll give you a link to that under this and you can check it out. From our roles and from these archetypes, there are different personas or masks that we wear, and they each direct our lives in different ways. So I'm sure you've seen yourself in relationship be different ways, have different ways you express yourself, different ways you personify who you are. Sometimes you might be very soft and caring and loving. Sometimes you might be very scared and weak. Sometimes you might be very powerful and just really strong. And sometimes you might be very, very difficult to be around. So these show you the different personas that occupy your relationship. And they each have different goals. They each have different strategies of getting what they want. They each have different desires and they each have different fears. And usually their fears are the things that drive their behavior. If you look at your relationship history, can you notice that there's been different ways you've played yourself in relationships? Are there different ways you've expressed yourself? Can you kind of get an idea of the different personalities you have within you? Persona work allows you to understand your subconscious mind by understanding the different personalities that exist within the subconscious mind. So we might think of ourselves as one whole, complete person, but actually within our psyche, there are so many different aspects of who we are, and different relationships and situations trigger these aspects. So one of these aspects, as we discussed in the last video, might be the wounded child, the abandoned child, the angry child. And then you can move into what was adolescence like. Were you a scared teacher? Were you a teenager? Were you an angry teenager? Did you have difficulty making friends? So we usually have a teen persona, a part of ourselves that still plays out now. Or were you a rebel? Did you do whatever you want? Did you get in trouble? And do you still see that in your life right now? And how does that affect your relationships? And then what about in adult life? What are the roles you've taken on there? And how have those roles influenced your particular relationships? So once we understand what our core personas are, then we can begin to understand why we are having the experiences we are having in relationship. Because you might think, oh, I'm this way and this is the relationship I want, but you bring different personas to the table. And as you move into the relationship and the so-called, the best foot forward falls off for you both, then your unconscious personas, identities start to arise. The shadow aspects of yourself, the parts you are unconscious of, unaware of, your fears, your challenges, your belief systems about relationships, they start to come up in these different personas. And these personas are the ones that interact in relationship. So we want to make these personas very conscious. We want to know who they are, what their psychological age is, what their belief systems are, what their goals are, and what their fears are. And once we can find the different personas, there's usually ones that conflict. One might really crave a loving bond and committed relationship, and one might want freedom and to not be in a relationship at all and sabotage all your efforts to do that. And one might be the wounded child that is terrified of being abandoned and holds on for dear life and has really unhealthy codependent behaviors in relationships. So these can be all the personas that are part of your psyche. Now, if you don't understand these personas, then you're just acting unconsciously. But once you have conscious awareness of them, you can then begin to see when they come up. And when they come up, you can be mindful or aware of them, meaning you're not going to react to them. Instead, you're going to cultivate a higher self persona, a part of you that is consciously created to manifest the relationship you want. And this part of you is aligned with your highest values in relationship. It's going to be aligned with the conscious relationship criteria. It's going to be aligned with positive, empowering beliefs about relationships. And this conscious higher self that we cultivate in hypnosis is going to help each of the other personas become their higher self, because they each have a different energy, they each have different gifts, they each have different things that are great about them. So we just want to help them become less unconscious and bring them into their full potential. So it's like having a group of friends, and each of them are different, and each of them have their challenges, and each of them have their gifts. And you, as the highest self, or we'll say the CEO or the leader of this group of friends, is here to help each one of them attain their highest potential. So that is persona work. It is deep work, it is provocative, it is the most transformative work you will probably ever come across in this field, because it takes the parts of us that we are completely unaware of and it brings it all to the light so that we can consciously create our lives. So I highly recommend that everyone does persona work. I will say that you do need some guidance on this, because it can bring up a lot of unconscious material that needs to be processed. And so I usually work with my clients for a couple of weeks on this, just to work through any resistance, work through any difficulties. But once you push past this barrier, then you're really going to be in a state of mind of heightened awareness where you can transform any aspect of your life, because it's not just relationships that personas are in, they're in everything. They're in our family life, our work life. Those are the parts of us that allow us to do certain things and sabotage us in other areas. So you really want to work on these parts. If you don't work on these parts of yourself, then you'll always find yourself repeating the same stories, because each persona has an unconscious story that it repeats and repeats and repeats, because it is unconscious. Once you make it conscious, you won't have these experiences anymore. You will cultivate a life from your highest potential, and that's a beautiful thing. And I've done this work on myself in a period of a year. I have seen myself turn into the highest potential I could have ever imagined, and I continue to change every day in the most powerful ways, as do my clients. So I am a believer. I'm passionate about this. I'd love to help you with this. And if you would like a free worksheet that I give my clients on persona work, because it is a slightly complex process in the beginning on how to make personas, how to understand your sub-psyche personas, I would be happy to send that over to you. So if you want to do some persona work, send me an email or send me a message on my website and I would get back to you guys. You guys, thanks for all the messages you send me and all the support. It really is a beautiful thing. And I'll talk to you guys next time.